What is up, fellas? What is
Ayo.
up, everyone tuning in to the Hoof Live podcast? There's a lot to be excited about. And I'm back. I was doing the COVID thing last week. I was on the COVID list, if you will. But I'm feeling good, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm feeling good right now. Anthony, what's up? How you doing, man?
What's going on, man? Good to have you back. Glad you're feeling all right and ready to go, baby. It's playoff time. It's the real season. This is what we all waited for. It's playoff time. We've got our shot. We've got to take it. And obviously, we'll be discussing quite the big matchup with the Patriots. Everything I've wanted and more. Let's go. This is it.
AFC's champs. Where is my T-shirt and hat?
Back to back, baby.
Did you get one? Did you order a T-shirt and hat?
Not yet, but I'm going to for sure.
Got to.
I didn't. What kind of, speaking of hats, what are you wearing right now? What kind of hat are you wearing?
Waffle Raven. Yeah.
What's that?
It's a Swedish company. They make quality hats.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. What do you got on? Yours looks a lot like mine.
It's not as cool, man. I'm just rocking the red beanie.
Yeah.
This dude up here, we know he ain't got no style.
Yeah. This
is the red hat day here.
We call this expensive mountain shit.
Oh,
yeah, it's one of those type of hats.
Is it the North Face or something?
Yeah, it's like that.
Yes.
Yeah, you need a red beanie
$1.99. All right.
Hey, my man Anthony up there rocking that suede? What you got on there?
This
corduroy.
One's corduroy. Yeah, there you go.
Oh Lord, that boy. Hey, so
with
when you do this, is it like flames coming when you do this, bro?
I'll say that it was 3 degrees here in Rochester.
I was going to say, keep me warm.
Yeah.
This is a thick one. Keep me warm in the cold. Here.
You need the expensive mountain hat.
You need the expensive mountain hat? Well, shoot. Hey, listen. We got who's up in the house tonight? Men in the kitchen, Moffitt family. What's up? Everybody wants to know where Anthony's beanie is. Anthony has no style.
I wasn't invited.
He wasn't invited. To the beanie party. Eric, what's up, man? He says old school. Jessica Tennis is in the house. She says Sabres are only down 5 goals. I replied, nobody cares. Eric McNeil says Sterling kind of got the where's Waldo look going. Hey, that's awesome. Yeah, dog.
Yeah.
Hey, but Waldo wasn't black, so y'all can find me in a crowd of white folks. That's cool with me. Reptile, what's up, man? Anyway, so it's good to be back, guys. It's good to see your faces. Good to chop it up with you. Man, there's so much to talk about this week. It's a big week. It's a celebratory week. It's the playoffs. We say playoffs, but
playoffs.
Here we are. It's playoff time. The Bills have won the AFC East. They currently sit at the number 3 seed facing the Patriots. We're going to get into that. We got lots of stuff to talk about here on the show today. But before we continue on, let's go ahead and shall we jump into this? This is the segment of the show called What's Poppin'. We're going to talk about all things around the NFL. A lot of vacancies going on coaching-wise. And so this segment is called What's Poppin'. First topic of the night as we jump into this. Giants fire Joe Judge. Dolphins fire Brian Flores. Okay, so the Giants, first of all, who knew who Joe Judge was in the first place? He coached the Giants for 2 seasons. Dave Gettleman also retired as the GM. He didn't get fired. He retired. That's a difference. And then, we see the Dolphins fire. God dang, say that a few times fast. Dolphins fire Flores, okay? He was with the team for 3 years. That was a surprise to many. Didn't see that coming. But with that being said, let's get your thoughts on the guys in the chat. Let's hear what you have to say. Anthony, we'll go with you first, and Eric, what do you?
I'll start with the Dolphins because that obviously has an impact on our Buffalo Bills the most, them being in our division and all. I was only half shocked by this. I'd say half shocked because Flores did a pretty good job as the head coach of the Dolphins. I mean, won more games than probably expected in his first couple of years there. Got to the did they make? Yeah, they made the playoffs last year, but no, they didn't. They had 10 wins and didn't make it, so they didn't make it with him. But still, he was a good coach for them, exceeded expectations. But I think the big sticking point for the Dolphins, and something I've said in the chat and to you guys too, is that this is all about Tua for them. It's all about Tua. There is a break in the locker room. All the rumors we've heard, is he the guy? Is he not? To me, it seems like the front office has said, we're going with Tua, and we need to, that is our message going forward. And if that means firing Flores because he was only half on board, then they did it, In terms of the Giants, it's almost a little bit of the opposite story. Joe Judge only had 2 seasons, didn't succeed. I don't think this looks good for, the GM's retiring. The GM retires, Dave Gettleman, and now they have a GM vacancy, but a new GM is going to want to hire their coach, not, the coach that they ended up with because they took this job. So I think Joe Judge went out by default, and that doesn't look too good for Danny Dimes down there either, I don't think, because, obviously a new regime, they're going to want to start fresh with their own guys. So 2 franchises up in the air. I love to see it with the Dolphins because it means some chaos that helps, us in the division, if anything. New shoes, new starting over. They're definitely sticking with Tua, I think, with that. But yeah, it'll be interesting going forward seeing that. Not as many coaching changes as I think people were expecting in this craziness this year.
So we got a super chat. Eric Farrell says we get to enjoy a mediocre Dolphins team for another 3 years.
Yes.
Thanks, Ross. Yes, thank you for your
thank you.
support for the show. Yeah. So Eric, won't you give us your tea on Brian Flores and the Giants?
Let's start with Joe Judge and the Giants. My family's all Giants fans, so this is very close to home for me. But they're in dysfunction right now, and it's kind of disappointing because I think the Giants are a premier team in the league, right? I think their ownership cares about winning. They've shown that in the past, but recently they're just complete chaos, right? GM, head coach, quarterback, they're all bad. So, Joe Judge, 10-23 as the head coach. Just can't seem to get it together. Look, I think Daniel Jones does have potential in the league. A guy that athletic. I think if you get the right coaching staff in, they can make him a viable starter. But just Joe Judge was just not able to do that, and we'll never know how much of it was his fault, right? I think the roster has been one of the worst rosters in the league for the last number of years. Like, we all know when you play Madden, nobody picks the Giants to rebuild. It's just too hard. It takes too long. You know what I'm saying? So that's the Giants, in my opinion. They got a lot of rebuilding to do. They start out with, 2 top 10 or top 15 picks this year. That'll certainly help, but it's still going to be a long road, in my opinion. Brian Flores, this is just crazy ownership, right? And you got to have the right ownership in place to win games in the NFL. You just have to leave the football to the football people. Brian Flores is that guy. I think he can be a great head coach. Like, I think he's shown that. Winning games with Tua as your quarterback who was struggling. I mean, that says a lot about a coach. We're very familiar with that as Bills fans when we made the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor. Love Tyrod, but it's just not – we all knew he's not the future quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Both the Giants and Dolphins have gone 5 years with no playoffs. That's number 3 and 4 on the playoff drought list. The New York Jets are number 1 and 11, and the Denver Broncos are at 6. The Dolphins haven't won a playoff game in 21 years.
Ooh, that's a long time.
A long time. So it starts with ownership, and I think the Dolphins are notorious for having bad ownership when it comes to winning football games.
Well, I mean, Stephen Ross is a Michigan guy, but he has zero patience. But at the same time, 3 years, no playoff appearances. I mean, but I think Brian Flores got a bad shake of the deal. I think he's an excellent coach. But like Joe Marino said, it's about Tua, and he didn't want Tua, and the ownership pushed him on him, and we saw, and the fact that they were even flirting with Deshaun Watson in the first place for Tua. I mean, it's just, I understand it, but at the same time, I mean, what are we doing here, right? You invested these picks, this capital on your quarterback, and then all of a sudden, there's just all this turmoil in the organization.
Right.
I mean, there's no, it just sucks.
Don't lie though. As Bills fans, we were scared of the Dolphins last year. Not when they played the Bills, but 10-win team, bright future. They got a real head coach. They got a real head coach, right? Watch out.
Yeah.
Obviously, this year didn't go as well. But
the it's funny putting these two coaches on the same list too, because Flores is a guy I think he'll get another job. He's going to get another head coaching job somewhere. There's needs out there, and he's good enough to fill those needs. Joe Judge to me is like the guy who's going to be a coordinator back in college. He's getting a full demotion.
You mean
here.
Back at the Patriots?
Yeah. Well, maybe he could end up back with the Patriots.
Yeah.
But it's funny just that he's going to be pretty demoted. But Flores, I fully expect him to catch on with a job somewhere.
Right. Eric says Flores should be our first call for D coordinator when Leslie Frazier finally gets hired as a coach. I think that's a big philosophy change. Brian Flores is a 3-4 coach. Now they do kind of run multiple and give you different looks, but he is a 3-4 defensive coach, so I don't think that would work. And besides, you got Sean McDermott, and Sean McDermott can run this defense. And we really don't, to the extent we don't know how much of a hand Sean McDermott has in his defense currently. Now, he did come out and say that, this is Leslie Frazier's defense. He could be just saying that because that's his boy. But we know, Frazier can coach defense. He did it in Minnesota. He's done it throughout his career. He was on the 85 Bears, etc. But yeah, I think, Leslie Frazier might be on his way out.
He gone.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get a job.
He gone.
All right. Colts fumble the chance at a playoffs against the Jags. The Colts, look, this is a team that many pundits, many analysts, we all kind of were like, the Colts, that's a team that the Bills, especially from a matchup perspective, the Colts have one of the best offensive lines in the league. They got the best running back in the league. Mm-hmm. They got a pretty stout defense. That's a team that, as we saw earlier in the season, did not match up with the Bills well. A lot of us thought that the Colts were going to make it to the playoffs. They end up losing to the freaking Jags. Now, for all the people who wanted to make fun of the Bills for losing to the Jags, I understand it. But hey,
it was the
playoffs are on the line, bro, and you couldn't get it done. Thoughts? Let's go.
Yeah, we talked about this on the show last week, and the funny thing is that was the big moment for us was saying we don't want to face the Colts, right? We both said that. Of all these teams, the team we don't want to face the Colts versus the matchup. So when that news came across that they had lost to the Jags, I was celebrating. I'm like, yes, that is the one playoff team. They're gone. I still was confident that we could beat them, but it's the worst matchup of the playoff teams that we have on here. So I love it. Boot them. They're out. It was great for our Bills. I know that much.
So I don't want to hear it from Colts fans, though. Like, you had Peyton Manning for how long? How many 8-0 seasons did they have in a row? It was like 4 or 5. That's really impressive. To start out 8-0, 4 years in a row or something, whatever it was. And then you have one bad year, you end up with Andrew Luck. Look, I get his career short, but the guy was a phenomenal quarterback, right? Yeah. He's a quarterback that could carry a franchise. So welcome to coming up short, Colts fans. This is what it feels like. It almost feels good as a Bills fan to look at another franchise and go, yeah, that used to be us, but it's not anymore.
Yeah. No,
I don't want to hear it.
It's kind of funny. It's funny. Like it almost reminds me when the Bills, all they had to do was beat the Steelers. I think that was in 2004. Had to beat the Steelers and their second stringers. Right.
Couldn't do it.
Who was that running back? Parker. What was his name? God. Can't remember his name.
Willie Parker.
Was it Willie Parker in 2004? I think it was Willie Parker was number 39. Willie Parker was running back. But they just pretty much destroyed the Bills. And we thought that we were going to the playoffs and no, but this is even worse. You get an extra game. You're playing one of the worst teams in the league, and you can't beat them. I know it's a divisional game, so put that into perspective and scope. Division games are tough, especially at the end of the year. But come on, man, you're the better team. You're expected to win this. Carson Wentz, buddy, did not look good. No. Also, okay, the Raiders beat the Chargers, and it helped the Steelers get into the playoffs. Now I know a lot of people out there were saying, this game went into overtime. And the story goes, if the Raiders and the Chargers were to end in a tie, they both go to the playoffs. But no, one decided to beat the other, and I understand why, and the Steelers benefited from it. So, Eric, we'll start with you. Anthony, we'll end with you. Raiders, Chargers.
Phenomenal game, right? Probably the best game of the year. so much on the line Sunday night, right? I fell asleep, but I watched the next day. But it's a weird situation because if the Raiders just let the clock run out there, your division rival gets in the playoffs. That's not a natural thing. Now, it's different in the AFC West. If it was the AFC East and the Jets or Dolphins were getting in the playoffs, the Bills might run the clock out, because that's an opponent that's going to get eliminated, right? But for the AFC West, I think all the teams are pretty good for the most part. So I think they're happy to kick the field goal and knock the Chargers out because they don't have to worry about Justin Herbert and company.
Sort of. But the narrative here, the story was, yes, if they tie, they're both in. So even the announcers were talking before it went into overtime as the Colts down by 2 touchdowns come back the Chargers in this game come back down by 2 touchdowns, score, use up so much clock time. The Raiders were just trying to end the game at that point, but the Chargers come back, score, tie it. And the announcers were already talking about what happens if this goes into overtime and both teams get in? You can't urgently be wanting anything other than time to run out because it guarantees you a spot if you let time run out. Whereas if you lose, you're out. So both teams are doing that. I cannot believe it's in overtime, right? It goes to overtime. There are actually 45 seconds left in the game. The Raiders are clearly showing, hey, we're content to tie. We're just running out the clock. We're just ending this game. And the Chargers screw it up and call a timeout. And they call a timeout, and the Raiders are like, okay, fine, screw you. They run a play, get 12 yards more. They call a timeout, and then kick the field goal to win it. It was just the craziest game. Every play, I'm like, this is nuts. Starting in the third quarter when the Chargers were down by 2 scores, I'm like, the Chargers are going to tie this. You could just sense it that they were going to come back and tie it. And then it was going to end in a tie. And I said during the game, too, that Steelers fans were going to drop dead if that happened. All of them were just going to fall, instantly. Could you imagine me we're in the playoffs. We just need this to not end in a tie. And then it ends in a tie. That would be the worst ending to a season ever, probably, and the career for Big Ben. But luckily, for them, that isn't what happened. And that the Chargers played stupid and the Raiders kicked the field goal and won the game, and they're in, and we end up playing the Patriots, which is the scenario that I wanted. So I was rooting for the Raiders in that game.
More on that later.
Yeah, more on that later. You made something interesting though. Big Ben, that would have been his final game. I would have totally kneeled it and just call a truce, bro. Just to stick at the Big Ben and the Steelers. But it is what it is. But yeah. Justin Herbert, man, he I think it was 38 of 64, 64 for 300 some odd yards. I mean, Justin Herbert made some throws in that game that were impressive.
Really nice.
I mean, I definitely wanted the Chargers to lose. I did not want to face the Chargers in the playoffs. That Justin Herbert's special. So we dodged a bullet with that one. Now I do think the Bills can beat them. I don't think there's a team in the playoffs that I think the Bills cannot beat. I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl. I'm just saying that, what he's able to do in the pass game, in terms of, just his sheer size and mobility, the way he's able to read a defense, he can freeze safeties, freeze linebackers. He's just a really good quarterback. He's going to be a force to reckon with in the future. But again, we're talking about the Chargers here. There was so much promise coming into the season.
Yeah.
And why is it that the Chargers, it's always coming up short, man. Yep. And that's got to be debilitating if you're a Chargers fan. Justin Herbert again, man, it's like, when the defense needed to step up and they did not do it. So you spend all that money on Bosa. You got Derwin James. Come on, man. You just at some point something's got to give.
I think the Chargers, they're in a good spot though. I think the next few years they're going to be a contender. They got the quarterback position figured out. That alone is so reassuring, right? You think about the teams that made the playoffs, all of them have good quarterbacks.
That's true, but we saw that with Phillip Rivers.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
he did pass all over the Bills.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Hall of Famer in the end. Yeah,
it's too hard to find him, right?
They should have been so much better, So I just hope that as they can kind of break through the ceiling here and kind of start to make playoff appearances a lot frequent. But again, look at the division they're in. You got the Chiefs, which they beat the Chiefs. They're able to beat the Chiefs. The Raiders. I mean, the Raiders. Who really thought the Raiders were going to make it to the playoffs? But that's neither here nor there. But so congratulations to the Las Vegas Raiders. It's cool to see you in. All right. Okay. So now, Black Monday takes it waits for no one, and there are 7 vacancies currently in the NFL. Okay. So with those vacancies, Bears, Raiders, Vikings, Jags, Dolphins, Giants, Broncos, which of these jobs to you guys, if you had to take one of these jobs, which one would it be? Eric, go.
Man, it's hard to tell. I think I'm going to lean towards Vikings here just because you have Delvin Cook. I think the defense is a decent roster, right? Not too much of a rebuild going on there. And you have Justin Jefferson, who's one of the bright young wide receivers in the league. Adam Thielen added to that. I mean, the offensive line's built to run the football. I mean, I get it. Quarterback's average to above average, but he's not bad. So you're starting out higher than these other teams, in my opinion.
Okay.
And it's possible Aaron Rodgers could be leaving the division.
That's right.
Right, a lot of rumors out there. We don't know. But that's really the only thing holding the Vikings roster back from winning that division is Aaron Rodgers. So
okay.
I think things are headed in the right direction for them.
Anthony, who you got?
I'm looking at this list and thinking to myself, which one of these jobs would I want right out of the gate? I think one that jumps out to me that isn't the Vikings, because they were also one. The Broncos. I mean, they have good young talent. They've been good for a long time. The only problem with the Broncos is they have ownership issues right now, and they're trying to resolve that, and nobody really knows what's going on with that situation. And it's been a legal battle and all this, so it's a little bit chaotic there. But the talent on the field, you have the opportunity to come in as a head coach and say, I'm drafting my quarterback. We've already got some talent here. Give me 3 years, and we're going to be beating the Kansas City Chiefs for the division. And that's the team that I would want to take, right? Give me the challenge. Let me say, yeah, it's going to be, here's our plan for year 1. Here's our plan for year 2. Year 3, we're winning the division. And here's how, right? So that's what I look at there. But really, the Bears, I think, would also be a good team to be a head coach for at this point, because they already have their young quarterback that, you can develop. If I'm Brian Daboll, maybe, or Leslie Frazier, who's been the rumored person connected to that job because of his ties to the Bears. I mean, a lot of these jobs are desirable this year. Actually, the Raiders just made the playoffs, as we talked about, and they have a head coaching vacancy. The Jags have all that talent and, seem to fall on their face all the time. So that's another one where you could come in with a real plan and say, here's what I'm going to do in 3 years. The Dolphins, you have to accept the Tua situation. I don't like that one bit. The Giants, they've just been a mess, as we've talked about. You've got to come in with a quarterback. They don't have extensive talent, young talent that I'm excited about. So those two are probably my lowest.
I said one. All right, so I'm gonna
two lowest.
I'm gonna go with the Jaguars. I'll tell you why. One, I think it's the weakest division. I don't think that the Titans can be beat, right? You have Trevor Lawrence. I think he's gonna be one of the better quarterbacks in the league here soon. And basically you have to, it's kind of like when Sean McDermott took over the Buffalo Bills. You got to break that losing culture. And I think you could do that, but you got a really good pass rusher in Josh Allen. And so all you have to do is stack some more pieces together. Just think about Josh Allen next to Aiden Hutchinson in the draft. That would be and they got 2 defensive tackles that are pretty solid. I would really like the Jags job. Yeah. So I mean, you could flip that roster and be competing real soon. So that's probably the job that I would take.
I said the Jags last year for that same reason. You knew they were getting Trevor Lawrence at that point, and then they hired the worst ever coaching hire to me in history.
Urban.
Yeah, worst ever. And that didn't work out, did it?
So speaking of coaches, the Bears are set to interview Leslie Frazier this weekend per Josina Anderson. Now, we know Leslie Frazier has been a fantastic defensive coordinator for these Buffalo Bills. and he is a minority candidate, which I am excited for. Now, just a little throwing this out there. So if Leslie Frazier does indeed get hired by an NFL team because he's a minority candidate, the Buffalo Bills would get two third-round picks, one this year, one next year. These are compensatory picks. That would be awesome. So Leslie Frazier, peace out. I need the draft picks. I'm just saying, I love you, dog, but
thanks for your service.
You gotta go. I would love for the Bears. The Bears probably they should really look at Leslie Frazier here. I don't like the fact that you can interview these coaches during. I think they need to put a cap on it where you can only do it after the team, or you can only look to hire coaches after the season concludes.
Didn't the Bills put in? We didn't look into that. We talked about it briefly last week, but there was a proposed change that was accepted. I don't remember what it was. Maybe Sterling or I can look it up while others of us is talking. But yeah, the Bills put in a proposed rule change like that, where you could interview candidates 2 weeks before the regular season was over, but then once the playoffs started, not until after they're out or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't exactly know the details of the proposal, but yeah, that it makes sense because now, like you said, Leslie Frazier is interviewing this weekend when the Bills have a playoff game to prepare for. I'm assuming that interview is going to be on Sunday and not on Saturday. The Bills play on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's probably not going to be on Saturday.
Well, Brian Dable has 2 or 3
Sunday,
of
they
them,
should be prepping for the next week, right?
Right.
Yeah, same thing. It takes away your preparation for what you're doing right now, which is not good.
Right. A lot of these teams will hire coaches in the coming weeks, but if you make it to the championship game like the Bills did last season, Brian Dable and Leslie Frazier kind of missed out, right? My opinion is they should have been head coaches.
Oh, they should have been. Yeah.
But because the Bills succeeded, they kind of get punished in a way to stay with the Bills, which worked out for us. But I think they both earned shots at head coaching jobs last year.
Yeah. I think, these are fantastic coaches. I don't, Brian Dable getting a head coaching job. Look, if I'm the Bears or one of these teams with a young quarterback, the Dolphins, I'm looking at Brian Dable to come in because look at what he's done with Josh Allen. He knows what he's doing in terms of seems like when it comes to developing a quarterback. So one of these guys, I would expect. You can't have it that good for so long when in terms of teams poaching your coaches. So I think, we've had our run. I think it's time that, we're going to see one of these guys get thank you and congratulations. If that happens, we'll see. But I definitely don't like it during a playoff run. The Rick Beam is always right. Kings of the Cold. Yeah. Blizzard Mafia.
I was at the game Sunday and I'm still fucking cold.
Man, I don't know why y'all do it. I would not be going to those December games. I'm just
the weather this week's even colder. It's supposed to be like -9 on Saturday.
The cold really doesn't bother. It's the steel benches, freezing,
and the wind. The wind is rough in that weather.
Wind chill and the
no.
Steel benches.
Is it going to be when you say -9
degrees? That's the temperature.
Oh no,
outside. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Is it going to snow?
I don't know if snow is in the forecast, but the wind and the cold alone, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah. These are moments where I wish there was a dome.
Yeah.
I don't know how y'all do it. This is the big deal. It's cool you guys mentioned that because this is the first home playoff game where they're all fans are allowed. It's going to be magical in that state. And it's against the Patriots. You could not write a better script. It's against the damn Patriots. It's going to be magical. I cannot freaking wait, dude. I cannot wait. I know you have anxiety, Eric. We're going to get to your anxiety here soon.
Shut up, Eric.
Continue on. You told that man to shut up. Shaq Lawson.
Not to lose.
Well, okay, first of all, Shaq Lawson signing with the Bills. I don't care. Do we need him? No. Is he? He's a solid depth rotational piece. I do not see him taking snaps from any of our top 4 defensive ends. Now, if you want to talk about, how he can fit in next season, because we may not have Addison, we may not have Hughes. I think, he can compete for a job there. In term for the other defensive end spot, I think Rousseau is going to have one bottled up. You want to see AJ Epinesa or a draft pick take that other defensive end spot, which I am all for going for defensive end round 1. But we shall see. But thoughts on Shaq Lawson?
No, thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. I think this is more of a moral victory, if you will, right? Like, hey, we got Shaq Lawson back, and he meant a lot to this team, and he always loved Buffalo, and he didn't really want to leave, but he left to sign his contract, and we all knew that was going to happen, and it didn't work out well for him, and now he's back. So he's back with his guys in the locker room that he knows that he was with, and Sean McDermott, who he said he was his best self under, and all this. It feels good. It feels good, but it doesn't mean much for this team in its current composition and going.
Is this real though? Is this like happening, or is this just like speculation?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
But
I've seen reports,
Trainwreck Sports came out earlier and said that sources say. I don't know.
It's Twitter official. It's Twitter official, but
it could happen.
It's not officially official.
I mean, sure, bring him in for the next season, but like this rotation they have currently is playing well. Yes. There's no need to disrupt that. You don't need the depth, in my opinion. Rousseau's playing well. Mario Addison had a big game last week. 9 sacks last week.
That's nuts. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to bring in Shaq and make him inactive, fine. But I just don't see the need at this late in the game, right in the season.
Jessica says less than 5% chance of snow for Saturday.
So no precipitation.
That's good. Nick Green says just let Mac throw.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So with that being said, fellas, let's go ahead and take a look at the playoff bracket here. So for those of you who don't know, over in the NFC, the Bucks and the Eagles square off. You got the Cowboys and 49ers. That is a classic NFL playoff game. Cowboys, 49ers. And both these teams are looking good. 49ers, man, what a win against the Rams last week. The Cardinals have kind of taken a step back, man. This is one of the darlings of the NFL earlier in the season. They are now 11-6 facing off against the Rams. And there's a lot to be said about Matthew Stafford and how he's fared these last few weeks. And you have the Packers in the number 1 seed. For the AFC is what we're talking about here. How would now – you know what? Let's go with the Bengals and the Raiders real quick. I think that's a really good matchup. I do think the Bengals. Let's see how they handle being in the playoffs. I mean, this is a team that's not battle tested in terms of the postseason. They have not been here in quite some time, but they are electric. I mean, this is one of the best. I think of all the playoff teams, I think they have a really good offense. One of the best wide receiver cores in the NFL. Jamar Chase is having a tremendous year. Joe Burrow should be up there considered for the MVP. That should be a great game. And then you have the Chiefs and the Steelers. How sweet would it be if the Steelers beat the Chiefs? That would be a fantastic game. And if that's the case, they would go ahead and face the Titans. So the Titans have an easy road. They should be getting Derrick Henry back. But I do think that the Chiefs will prevail in that game. And then, we got the Bills and the Patriots, which we're going to talk about here at length. Listen, man, it's a lot of us have anxiety when it comes to this Bills Patriots matchup. And we're going to get into it here soon. But before we even do that, let's go ahead and talk about the Bills and the Jets recap. Eric, you made a great point, great segue into that. The Bills had 9 sacks against these Jets on Sunday, and we have not seen them consistently get to the quarterback and finish. We're a team of getting hurries and covered sacks and so forth, but they were licking their chops, man. When you got Connor McDermott starting at left tackle, that's a problem. That offensive line was struggling. Ed Oliver was a beast. Tell me, what are your thoughts on the defense's performance in this Jets recap?
I mean, they dominated the line, right? And anytime you do that, I think you're gonna win big. Offense struggled a little bit, but the defense played phenomenal. They bailed out the offense all day long, as they should, right? This Jets team's still figuring it out. They got a rookie quarterback. I mean, he's shown flashes, but definitely not reading the field the way you'd want him to at this point, in my opinion. Taking too long, running around in the pocket, and that really is where these sacks are coming from. Is I think Zach Wilson's not reading the field, as fast as he should be. And whether that's on the receivers not running the right routes, the offensive line not holding up, those obviously factor into it. But man, the Bills defense definitely had a day when it came to getting after the quarterback. So fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, they did not give up many yards at all.
Right.
Like at
Couldn't
all.
do anything.
Yeah, the Jets were 1 for 14 on third down.
That's crazy.
Incredible.
And you know who the best player on the Jets offense was in this game? Matt Hawk for the Buffalo Bills was the best offensive player for the New York Jets, putting them in position after position to score. Matt Hawk said, please score some points, Jets. Here, have the ball and score some points. And they still couldn't do it because the Bills defense stepped up and kept the Jets from scoring.
You ever been to Florida?
Situations.
You ever gone to Florida for 2 weeks and just relax, and then you go back to work?
That's right. And then you're like, what the
And
heck?
you're just not on your game, right? That's Matt Hawk. He had 2 weeks off.
Yeah, it was a rough day for him, to say the least. Ugliest of ugly. I mean, it couldn't get much worse with the bad punts and the fumble and the play where he should have just run it and he tries to kick it off the side of his foot and it goes 3 yards. I mean, it was just ugly. But my point is the same.
Bad.
He put the special teams play, put the Jets in position to score, not only in their territory. I mean, the 30-yard line, the 32-yard line, and the Bills stopped them from scoring on multiple of those drives due to, in part, the sacks by the defense, the control of the defensive line, all the things Eric said. Everything on defense was exactly what we wanted to see. Everything, all those players played exactly how we would want them to play. Everybody played a role. We saw a sack from Epinesa. We saw, everybody got in on it. Ed Oliver had amazing game, even though he only had 1.5 sacks of the 9. Only 1.5 sacks, we're saying now. Right. But, he controlled that line of scrimmage. And those are the kinds of things you want to see from the defense moving forward.
Right, and
into the
defense
playoffs.
played so well. The Jets punted 11 times. One of them was blocked.
Yeah,
which is a great play.
That was awesome.
I mean, the defense really stepped up, but how much is that is the Jets' chaos?
Right. Here's a tweet from Buffalo Bills PR allowing just 17 points per game. Buffalo will finish the regular season as the #1 scoring defense for the first time in franchise history. The Bills also finished as the #1 total defense, allowing 272.8 yards per game. What say you? The Buffalo Bills have the best defense in the NFL. Not only that, look at this, yards per game, they rank first. Yards per play, first. Rush yards per game, 13th. Now we talk about,
everybody thinks,
right, where the way we talk about it, sometimes you would think the Bills have one of the worst run defenses in the league. Now, last 4 weeks have not been fantastic, excluding Sunday's matchup, but 11th in rush yards per play, first in pass yards per game, first in pass yards per game, 6th in red zone, first and third down percentage and points per game. The Buffalo Bills had themselves a year. If you were to ask me how would you think that this Buffalo Bills defense would fare throughout the season, I would not say first in the league in that.
Right. Especially
I might have said first in the league, but not if you told me Trey White is gone with 8 games left. Right.
Trey White going out.
I mean, then I would have said, the defense is going to take a big step back, and we were all worried about that. But here they are. They moved up in the rankings somehow without Trey White because of the matchups and how well they played. I mean, it's an effort. It speaks to the Leslie Frazier and Sean McDermott-led defense and the players that we have and the depth that we have, that they were able to maintain that greatness and even step it up a notch in absence of our best defensive player in Trey White.
Yeah, you guys make great points. I mean, that's something to hang your hat on. The fact that they were so dominant on defense this year. And you know what the cool thing about that is? That this team is playing their best. They're going to the playoff. I've been saying it all year. You want to be playing your best football this time of year, and the Buffalo Bills are, and they still haven't put together a complete game. It's either the offense or the defense. Well, most of the defense and the offense.
Exactly.
Special teams. They still have not put together a complete game. And that's got to happen. So it's going to happen one of these weeks in the playoffs. So the fact that this defense is so dominant, I mean, that's something special. Like I said, I wouldn't expect the Bills to be that dominant on one side of the ball, but they were on defense, and no Pro Bowlers.
None.
No, yeah, geez.
0. So I don't understand it, man. Who's doing the voting? I mean, Poyer. I mean, we could go across the line and name these guys having remarkable seasons and no Pro Bowls.
Disrespect.
We need fuel. That's good fuel.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, right? You could bring that up every time, and I think you'll get a little fiery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
But I think the craziest thing about that stat is the number one defense for the first time in franchise history.
Yeah, that's pretty
That's
big.
pretty telling to me because you go back to some of these great defenses with Bruce Smith and the Super Bowl teams. I mean, that's a huge stat to me. Is they're number one in the league for the first time ever.
Yeah, that's incredible. The years of Bruce Smith, right? The years with Cornelius Bennett. I mean, the Bills have had some good defenses.
The years with Rex Ryan.
Dick Duran had some good defenses, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, man, it's incredible, man. It's really cool. So that's something to and it's so transferable, right? So you take that into the playoffs, man. The fact that you can clamp and lock down. Now, it doesn't mean they don't have their set of miscues. Every team does, but the Bills fared very well. So that's something I'm excited to see going into.
The point that you made that I was going to hit on here is that the offense and defense haven't clicked at the same time, really. And in this game, there was a lot of frustration on the offensive side. You're playing the Jets. You need to score points. I don't care what your excuses are. You're playing the Jets. You got to score points because when it comes to the playoffs, you're not playing the Jets anymore. You're playing teams that deserve to be there. They've earned their spot in the playoffs. They're not one of the worst teams in the league. They're much better than that. So you've got to capitalize on that. There is still room for improvement going into the playoffs, especially on the synchronization side of hitting your stride on both offense and defense. And that's a good place to be too, in my mind. I don't want to be hitting our peak in week 17 and 18. I want to be hitting our peak when we're going into that Super Bowl run, which is right now.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I think we have seen signs of them both clicking at the same time. They just were at the wrong times, right? At Miami, 35-0.
Mm-hmm.
At New Orleans, 31-6. Houston. It's just the consistency, right? And then when they play good teams, those teams seem to score a lot more points, right? It's not so dominant when you play the really good teams.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll see a complete, because the special teams. I mean, let's talk about that real quick. This great segue into that. Should Micah Hyde return punts in the playoffs? That's been a topic of discussion. Hell, should Matt Hawk, should he be the punter moving forward? I think we're stuck with him.
Yeah.
I mean, let him be the holder and bring in your practice squad punter. That'd be great. I just, Breida would have to be inactive, which I'm totally cool with because Breida doesn't do anything.
That was Joe Marino's take. Yeah. On his show, he said that. And I thought that was crazy at first. Like the Bills are going to carry 2 punters into the playoffs. I still think it's crazy. I don't think
they're not
going to do it. No, they're not going to do that. I think they'll let Hack do the punting, even though he's been terrible. Matt Hawk, we're saying his name. If you said Hack, now I'm saying Hack. He hacked it in this game.
Dude,
but
he was so bad.
Fact of the matter is the Bills are more interested in scoring points than they are in punting, and that's what Hawk is there for. And
you
that's
call
what
him Hack. It's okay.
Yeah. Depends how the kick is.
I mean,
Hack.
I understand one bad punt, right? But my boy had 4. Like it just,
bro.
Like
I don't 5 degrees.
I don't care.
That's
your one damn job.
You can kick the ball.
Damn ball.
Like McDermott said, though, he bounced back towards the end of the game.
Or,
nice punt.
He's just saying that because
if you're Matt Hawk,
you're stuck with him, you got to say nice things at this point.
If you're Matt Hawk, it's not just snap ball, kick ball. It's snap ball, eat a sandwich, look at the field, say hi to your mom in the stands, and then punt the ball. He takes an hour to kick the ball, which always drives
this
me
one.
nuts,
Hopefully, we won't have to punt again this year.
That's right. That's what they're going for, and they knew that when they signed Matt Hawk. So,
man, I just didn't expect him to be that bad on Sunday. It was rough. That was a rough performance, man, and we should have blown the Jets out by 40 points.
Just be happy it happened in week 18 versus a bad team. Defense is playing well. I think he knows he's got to step his game up this week, right?
Yeah. This is a funny one. It was partially a wind issue too. No, bro. You've been name a nice game in Buffalo this year. We haven't had one nice weather game in Buffalo this year. They've all sucked, bro. It's time. You're paid quite heftily to just kick the damn ball. Just kick the ball. Yo, it's not that hard, bro. I mean, I can't fucking do it, but they pay you to do it. I just need you to kick a touchback every time.
I think you and I could have kicked the ball 6 yards on that one play. Like
I'm telling you, man.
The drop kick. I mean, that reminded me of playing football like in the field with my friends when I was 8, and one of us would punt it to the others or whatever, and it'd go off the side of your foot and 6 yards. Yeah. It was crazy. That play, I'm like, just run it at that point. You could, or flip it to the guy behind you and let him run it,
Oh, yeah.
On the botched snap one there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should Micah Hyde return punts in the playoffs? Thoughts on that? I mean, what do you got?
I'm going to go with if it's at home in Buffalo with the high wind and the cold, I'd say yes. Because I think Micah Hyde is safe.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think.
Marquise Stevenson, he's a talented guy. He's a really young guy. That eagerness to score, you can see it, right? Mm-hmm. And I think with the wind and the ball moving around a lot, and you're playing a really good team in the Patriots, right? A well-coached team. You can't afford to have a mistake. I think Micah Hyde's been at this a long time. He doesn't really want the return as much. He's not so eager to prove himself, right? So I think there's some confidence there, which I think is why he is returning punts at this point. Now, if we're in a dome somewhere, maybe on the road, maybe even Kansas City, I'd say, Marquise Stevenson would be a good, returner, to try to score, right? To get some, electrify the team. But right now for this game this weekend, I would go with Micah Hyde. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm definitely going with Micah Hyde too, for all of the reasons you said. It's the safe bet. This is the playoffs. All right. It's time to start, putting your best players on the field and knowing who you have and what they are. Right. I'm happy with Stevenson this year. He's a rookie. He's not supposed to be the best returner in the league in his first year. I think I've seen a lot from him that gives me confidence he's going to be on the team moving forward. Isaiah McKenzie, obviously we don't know, but we know how they like him and how they like to use him. But if you put Micah Hyde back there, it takes away something that the opposing team can target. Meaning that if you're the Patriots coming into this game, you're thinking, hey, one place where we can take advantage of them is if we punt well or if we kick well, we can get them to make a mistake and try and make a big play and fumble the ball and we can recover it. Whereas if you see Micah Hyde back there for punts, you know that his job is to catch the ball and fall down. He's not trying to return it. He's not trying to act crazy. He'll get yardage if it's there given to him, but he's not going to do too much. And that's all that needs to be done, because once you get the ball, it's in the offense's hands and it'll work out a lot better.
So Stevenson returned punts in New England, averaged 11 yards, 3 returns, 34 yards. Mm-hmm. The Monday night game, week 13. Try to find it here.
Still, wasn't it?
Matt Breida.
Oh, because that was the McKenzie benched game.
Sorry, that was kickoff returns. Punt returns, Micah Hyde. Yep, one was down, one was out of bounds, one was a touchback. Micah Hyde had 1 return for 8 yards.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I expect.
I would go with Micah Hyde.
I would as well. Yep.
You would? You know what?
You missed the whole conversation.
Yeah.
The light bill. I guess I apparently forgot to pay the light bill. But no, man, I would roll with McKenzie. I really would.
Can't afford it. Not this week, because the wind makes the ball move around a ton. And
away games. Away playoff games, I let McKenzie return.
No, if it's a dome or like we said, Kansas City, Tennessee, sure. Not in Buffalo though. Not this week.
It's too risky.
You got to go with Micah Hyde.
Don't let the Patriots find something to attack you with, period.
But we also you don't want Micah Hyde to get hurt on a stupid play like that either. But
no, that's why I said just let him catch it and fall down and get what's given to him. He doesn't need to do anything crazy either.
Yeah, this game would be about controlling, field position, right? I think Micah Hyde gives you the best chance for that.
Yeah, I don't know. McKenzie does give you an element of he can take one to the house. Sure. That's nice. I think Stevenson gives you that as well. But again, you can't have mistakes in the playoffs. And as we know, everything kind of gets tight, right? You're in offenses that are, heavy offenses that, starting off in the league in the season aren't necessarily as dominant in the postseason. Things kind of just, so it ratchets it up a little bit. So, yeah, I think, ball security, possessions, and yards, those things matter at these times, as we know. So you definitely do not want to be the guy that misses a field goal, screws up a punt or return, in the playoffs, because dude, that's just you can't afford to have that.
Special teams has to be on point. Yep.
Got to be on point. Special teams. Okay, so Josh Allen. Let's talk about Josh Allen. You know, there was a narrative that was happened this season where people want to talk about Josh Allen taking a step back from his 2020 season. And, you know, we're going to kind of, I want to reflect on, you know, the part of the segment is why isn't Josh Allen MVP? Now, we know there's a couple quarterbacks who had a better year than him, but let's talk about what Josh Allen was able to accomplish this year. 63.3 completion percentage. Last season, he had 69.2, sorry. This season, he had 4,407 yards through the air. Last season, he had 4,544. Now, there was an extra game, but Josh Allen really didn't play the last game of the season. He really didn't do much, if I'm not mistaken. 36 touchdowns this year through the air. 37 touchdowns through the air last season. 15 interceptions this season versus 10. His quarterback rating this season was a 92.2, and last season was 107.2. So, in your mind, can we call that a regression? Now, I'm not even counting what Josh Allen was able to do on the ground this year. He had less touchdowns on the ground, but more yards, right? Mm-hmm. What do you make of Josh Allen's season?
I thought Josh had a phenomenal season. Put his team in a position to win every single game, every single one this year. Now, I'm not a big statistics guy when it comes to, you know, whoever gets the most throwing yards should be the MVP. It's who does the most for their team, and I don't think there's another quarterback in the league that does more for their team than Josh Allen. But I will say consistency is a factor, and I don't think he was as consistent this past season as he was the year prior. And so there's just better options out. Aaron Rodgers is number one in every category, consistent, won 13 games. I mean, there's just better options out there as far as the MVP conversation goes. But Josh Allen absolutely is in that conversation, as he should be. It's just sometimes I think the statistics get a little crazy. And he's just not going to have consistent games like Aaron Rodgers does. It's not the type of player he is. You know what I'm saying? He can beat you with the legs. He can beat you with the arm. He'll do whatever he has to do to win. Sometimes he's going to have games where his completion percentage is below 60%. It's just that's Josh Allen's game, and you can clearly win with that.
And so Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson. Why do I bring those names up? Those are the two Pro Bowl guys, right? For the AFC. Lamar Jackson, he was injured. He didn't even play the rest of the season. But if you're talking about the MVP race, you have to talk about the guys who are getting the recognition. Now, when those voting happened, okay, we don't know. But if you're talking about whatever quarterback you want to compare him to in the AFC, it's Josh Allen hands down to me. You take Josh Allen off of this Bills team, and we're not in position to win most of those games. Josh Allen is the reason we win games. Josh Allen does everything he can with his legs, with his arm. Does he sometimes make mistakes? Yes. But is there a game this year that you can point to that you're like, Josh Allen is the reason we lost this game? I don't think so.
Spin says Colts game.
Was that Josh Allen's fault? That was the defense's fault.
I think it's a team effort fail, by the way.
Exactly. That was a
good point.
Didn't show up, and the fumble by McKenzie, and the special teams put the defense in a bad position. Exactly. I didn't put that one on Josh Allen, but it was just overall this season. Josh Allen, you're right, he wasn't consistent, and that's why he's not in the conversation. But without a doubt, he is the MVP of this team. He is an MVP in this league, because when you break it down, there's been this debate in other sports. Sterling, maybe you can speak to basketball, but in the MLB, MVP over the years has changed, right? It used to mean most valuable player. Let's look at a single player and see who's most valuable. But then there was this conversation of, well, can A-Rod be the MVP if he plays for the last place Texans, the Texas Rangers team, and, they suck and he hasn't done anything for them, but he's the best player in the MLB? Sure, we can still give it to him. But then the next year they said, no, we can't, because he's still the best player, but they suck and he's not doing anything for his team. And that's where I come to in the NFL. Josh Allen is that guy, period, full stop. The Bills are where they are because of Josh Allen, and there's no debating it. So Josh Allen should be in the MVP talks for sure.
Well, from a statistical point of view, yeah, I kind of, yes and no. I mean, I think there were quarterbacks who played better than he did this year. Was it a regression? I wouldn't say it was a regression.
No.
Statistically, maybe, but there's definitely some things about Josh's game that he has to clean up, and consistency this year was one of them. It was too much of him putting the whole team on his back offensively. Now, you can look back and say, okay, the offensive line has to take a part of that, right? Lack of a running game has to take a part of that. And we know when you do those things, Josh Allen feels like he has to do those things. But I think it was a year of development from an offensive line standpoint, and the offense gelling as a whole. Coming into the season, that offensive line had not played any snaps together, right? And we saw them get manhandled. They were still trying to, mess around with combinations, and then them not being healthy was a contributing factor to that. And honestly, I think, not having a real number 2 wide receiver threat was an issue this year. Emmanuel Sanders didn't cut it. I mean, he flashed early in the year, and then it kind of just, went away. Getting Dawson Knox involved in the pass game more when he's available to play. He didn't miss a couple games, but he still had, 45 catches on the season. I felt like we should have done more. But I would say that the biggest contributing thing about Josh Allen was taking what the defense gave you. He did a really good job of that when they played New England in the second game. That is what they need to see. We need to see. The Bills need to see moving forward. He has to be able to take what the defense gives him more consistently. We know you can make all the big plays and the big throws and throwing. I mean, you saw on Sunday him carrying a dude, flying off his back, and he still throws a touchdown pass to Stephon Diggs. That's great. But we need to see you, hey, man, take what the defense gives you. I think that's the area that, last season, going in the offseason, what Josh say? He said, you know what, I'm going to focus on, in breaking routes, so forth. And we saw that he's doing a better job at that. This season, though, at the end of it, whatever happens, I want to hear him say he needs to do a better job of processing pre-snap and then knowing where, okay, I gotta dump it off here. He needs to do that, because when we saw him do that in New England, it's like this offense isn't predicated for runs after the catch. The way their route tree is and so forth, the way they scheme things up. But when he's able to get the ball out quickly, or when it's not there, throw it away, or just throw it down to check it down and running back or someone in the flats, we've seen our guys be able to make yards after catch and make plays. So I think it's something that we should see in the offseason where they go and get another wide receiver, someone who maybe can has a little juke in him or can break tackles, right? I think we're going to see more of that. So hopefully this is something that he can learn and grow off and kind of develop into next season. But next season, I really do think, the schedule's tougher, but I think Josh Allen, if he can do that, he will be in the MVP conversation next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good thing to balance out, is him checking it down or taking what the defense gives him, or him making plays with his legs, because he's so good at making plays. You know what I'm saying? He's so good off script.
I do think that is something he improved this year, was taking what the defense gave him in the sense of, okay, this is where I have to run it. And he didn't try and force it too much, although they did call still too many to make me uncomfortable anyway, quarterback runs versus letting Josh Allen roll out and say, everybody's covered, fine, I'll run for 10 yards. But I do agree that is something he's going to continue to work on and continue to get better at, we hope. And Josh Allen has shown that every year he's grown in different ways. And like you said, there certainly wasn't a regression, which, is a statistical term in terms of what happens to call it a regression. And this was not a regression of statistics. It was more of a consistent of statistics for Josh Allen, except for maybe in completion percentage. So yeah, it's certainly what you want to see from your franchise quarterback, the star guy who you just gave a record contract to. This is the guy moving forward for as long as we can see.
Absolutely.
I don't give a shit about MVP. Win the damn Super Bowl.
That's right. As long as he keeps playing like he's playing, let's do it.
That's what needs to happen.
What do you think about Josh Allen's touch on passes. I think that's an area where he needs to improve on. I feel like he's throwing it. I mean, he's throwing it real hard, and these guys aren't catching it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many drop. I don't know. I don't have the stats in front of me, but there's so many drop passes from these pass catchers. That's a little bit on them, but also as a quarterback, you have to know, like, Elway struggled with this, right? Or in his career, he's one of those guys that throws the ball really hard. Brett Favre, you have to kind of. Sometimes I feel like there's times where like you don't have to throw it that hard. Touchdown, right?
That was the Atlanta game for him a couple weeks ago, where you saw his receivers were physically hurting their hands, dropping passes, shaking them out after they caught it. Like, damn. And he didn't need to do that. It's one thing if he's throwing it into a tight window and he's got to put a lot of zing on it, then the receivers got to deal with it. But he was doing it when they were wide open or when it was a good route, and they're just zing, right? Sterling looks like a backhand on a 1970s deep sea scientific research. Yeah.
Oh,
yes,
Nick,
he does.
I appreciate you. I look good. I look good. I look good.
I'd say it's more of a wooden ship. You kind of went the submarine route there.
For sure.
1970s deep sea research.
Deep sea, baby. You already know what's good. You already know what's good. All right, so that's enough of the Josh Allen chatter. Now, Eric, look. You prepared this clam chowder. All right, this little clam chowder segment. So, Eric, what? Come on, man. What's up?
Oh, you even put the clam chowder in there. I see.
Clam chowder.
Nice. Clam chowder.
All right, let's take a look at some of these Patriot headlines. And what I want to know from you guys is, do you think this is from Boston or from outside of Boston? And these are hilarious, just so you know.
Okay, let's go.
Why the New England Patriots will win the AFC title this season. Is that from the Boston area or is that from outside the Boston area?
Anthony, you go first.
Oh, I have to say that I'm going to shock people and say this is from outside the Boston area, because I believe this is an ESPN headline. Like this has ESPN written all over it, right?
I avoided
why the
ESPN.
New England Patriots are still good and they're still going to win because they're still the team to beat and we still think they're the best even though they suck.
I'm going to say Boston. This is just a Boston dick thing to say. Like, this is because they always think they're going to win the AFC. Like, this is not the AFC.
Not
East.
even the division.
They're talking about the best team in the AFC.
They skipped the division, right?
Like, the hell? What?
Okay, so this is non-Boston. This is from Sports Not.
Who?
Sport Not. It's like a blog, but it's not in the Boston area. No association. So this is a non-Boston article.
Oh man.
Yeah, it hurts.
That hurts.
Next one. Tom Brady still owns the Bills, helps Patriots with overtime victory over Buffalo.
That's a damn NFL.com, bro. That's
mainstream Sports Center every morning.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
That's so Boston. It's so Boston.
It is that I think this one is local because they're gonna say like, Tom Brady helps us again and beats the Bills and still dominates them like we always knew he would.
Yes, and this probably got a gazillion clicks, but yes, this is from inside Boston.
Yeah.
CBS Boston is local.
Garbage.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Non-believers. Blank analyst unanimously picks Patriots over Bills in AFC East.
That's Boston, bro. That's Boston and their beat writers. They gotta be.
Yeah.
All of them picked the Patriots over the Bills for the AFC East.
That's gotta be Boston. There's no way. Are you kidding me? Any other city with common sense or any other place had to have at least had people picking the Bills, but this is only gotta be a Boston.
This is national media, CBS.
What?
Get the
all of them picked the Patriots.
Wow, the Patriots with Mac Jones. Are you kidding me? Wow.
Mac Jones is the best rookie quarterback of all time.
Disrespect. Yeah, that's right. He is. Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
Unanimously. Somebody call those assholes up right now. Oh, yeah. Hey, CBS Sports, how are your predictions doing this year?
Two more. Ready? Patriots Mac Jones is one of the best rookie quarterbacks of all time.
Are you fucking freaking kidding me? I thought he was joking. This is not a real headline. Are you freaking kidding me? This is the hype train.
I mean, who are the greatest rookie quarterbacks of all time? You got to go
my
RG3, electric, right? He's in
Joe.
that conversation.
Oh my God.
I want to say like
Mac Jones.
What the hell has
Mac
this kid
Jones,
done?
that's for
What
sure.
the hell has he done? He doesn't have any stats. He doesn't have any things. He has no flashy plays. What has he done? He's stood there and done what he's told. He is exactly what I said he was the day of the draft before he was on any fucking team, all right? He is the guy who is there and does what he's told, and he's not going to win you anything, and he's not going to excite you over anything. He just has been the guy standing there. He could be replaced with a dead body and do the same
quarterback of all
thing.
time. You know that for a fact. That's New England. This is from the Providence Journal.
Garbage.
Boston area. Providence Journal.
What?
About
Dude,
mid-season this came.
That's not okay.
Garbage.
Trash.
I don't care if it came out
Drink
after
the Kool-Aid. Careful with the Kool-Aid, right? I got one more. Should Josh Allen's stats in cold weather give Patriots fans hope?
Oh, what?
I want to say he has like 5 touchdowns, 6 interceptions in cold weather games. He's 2 for 3 as far as record goes.
What?
Man.
I'm gonna say outside of Boston, just because they're reaching for something here, right? This feels to me like some media's like, oh, maybe there's a glimmer of hope for the Patriots. Versus if it was in Boston, they'd be like, Patriots are going to win because Josh Allen sucks.
Yeah, Tom Brady will help them somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So that makes me think this one's got to be outside. I don't know. What do you think, Sterling?
Oh man, I think it's outside, not Boston.
This is NBC Boston.
What? Oh,
Man,
wow.
what the
From Boston.
hell?
Because
It
Josh
is
Allen
Boston.
sucks in cold weather, but he did put up 33 points in cold weather in Boston. Just saying.
Yep. There you go.
Dude, I really do think. Look, I was talking to a Patriots fan, and oh, this is so funny. Patriots fans really believe that the NFL hates them.
I know. When they were complaining about the refs, that really got us going, right? We're like, oh,
They
look
believe.
at you.
They
Did the refs
believe.
not
For
do
you.
what you were told?
How do you believe that the NFL hates you?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
You
seriously.
get every call in the playoffs.
Yeah,
You're
you
the
have your
darling.
own network.
You are the
ESPN,
darling.
you have
Yeah,
your own
exactly.
network.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How do they hate you, bro? I don't understand. Man,
Jason
if
says,
that ain't
Kicks throwing up the
privilege, bro.
show. He was talking to a
When's
Patriots
the
fan.
last time you saw the commissioner?
KGB.
When's the last time you saw the commissioner of the NFL hanging out at a Bills game in Buffalo versus in Patriots?
Ooh, good
When's the last time you saw
Ooh.
the commissioner smoozing up with the owner of the Buffalo
Ooh.
Bills versus the owners of the Patriots? Come on, guys.
Commissioner,
They love them, all right? They
I
love
want
the
to say he's
Patriots.
from Jamestown, New York. His dad was a senator of New
Yeah.
York.
Who,
He sucks.
Roger Goodell.
bro?
McCorkle!
Bro,
Greatest rookie quarterback of all time.
McCorkle Jones.
look, dog. Look, I mean, we regular dudes, right? But this dude gets paid to work out, bro. You get paid. You look like Ben Roethlisberger's dirty son. Like, I don't know, dude. Like, you just look like he's.
Ben Roethlisberger's illegitimate
Oh
child.
my God, dude.
Yeah.
Like, look at him. Best quarterback, a rookie quarterback ever.
Oh
Get
my
the hell
God.
out of here. I'm tired of Boston fans. Like,
That's nuts.
this is we're triggered. Anytime I hear about the Patriots, I'm so sick of the Patriots.
Oh
like,
my
let's
God.
be real for a minute. Let's just talk shop. The damn Patriots. Like, you get on my damn nerves. I hate everything Boston. Everything Boston. I hate it. The Celtics, get the hell out of here. I love green, but I don't like it green on the Celtics. Your Boston Bruins, you don't even have what's a Bruin? Is that a bear? What is a Bruin? You get the hell out of here. The Red Sox,
Garbage.
garbage. Get out of here. You never win anymore, right? Anymore. Get the hell out of here. I'm just tired of Boston and the Patriots. Like,
Well, and I wonder about the Patriots' success because literally the Dolphins have been terrible still today. The Jets have been terrible still today. And the Bills were terrible until Sean McDermott arrived. I mean, all they had to do is show up.
Yeah, that's true. They did have a great
Right?
dynasty. They won a lot of Super Bowls, but we
This
all know
division,
too.
this division's got to, I mean, you look at it, it's got to be like the easiest division in the last 20 years.
Oh yeah.
Look at the
and
AFC
they were
West has
winning.
turned over a whole
By
bunch of times.
far.
The NFC West has turned over like yearly.
I don't think
every
anybody's
one of
won
those teams has
back-to-back.
won the division in the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I mean,
I
I
don't
would
think
say
anybody's won back to
the
back.
NFC North's a little dominant, but by the Packers. But I mean, they all turn over. But the
Bo-
AFC East has been the
Boston
same.
sucks.
They're all racing to the bottom.
Yeah, man, and it's like it's like talking to their fans. It's like y'all not from real, like they don't understand what like losing is.
Yeah,
like they just it's just
They don't live in the
delusion.
real world. Yeah, they don't live in the real world. Like,
right.
what are you talking?
Well, they all live in
Well,
Tampa Bay now.
you
But
got-
anyway,
Yeah, you got every call you could imagine for 20 years, and you miss one call. You lose by 30 points, but that one call really changed the game for you because that's what you're going to complain about. Yeah, that's how they are. This weekend, it'll be no different. They're going to lose by 38 points, and they're going to say, "Oh, it was because the refs called that holding penalty when it
They
was."
hate us.
Julian Edelman put $100,000 on Patriots Tom Brady Super Bowl, so a Belichick Brady Super Bowl. If
Well, it
that
ain't gonna
happens, NFL's got to be rigged, right?
It's not happening.
Got to be.
Dude,
Look,
if that happens,
It's back to the conspiracy about like Hurricane Katrina, Saints win the Super Bowl. 9/11, the Giants win the Super Bowl.
okay, but those are tragedies. What happened in New England that's this bad? Like
they lost Tom Brady. Patriots. That's up there with Katrina and 9/11. I mean, that's...
ESPN lost Tom Brady. Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, come on now. Like I look, man.
Hey,
You want to know what my biggest fear for Saturday is?
Peyton Manning couldn't throw the ball and they won the Super Bowl. Just saying.
My biggest fear is we got not only are we playing the Patriots, but we're playing the refs.
Exactly. You cannot allow the refs to take it away from you in this game.
How
You
many
have to play the
holding?
cleanest, best game you've ever played.
How many offensive holding and pass interference calls will be
everything.
made on the Bills? Give me your over under 5. Over under.
Oh,
Pass interference and offensive holding penalties.
oh.
How many?
5
In
is
the chat.
a
How many
big
you
number.
guys got? How many you got?
It's really, they got to call it both ways is the problem. How many more is what I would look at.
Against
how
the
many more,
Let
even
me
though
find
there's
it.
blatant ones, how many blatant ones are they going to miss for New England? How many ticky-tack ones are they going to call against Buffalo? That's what you look at in the end, and it's sad.
Okay, so the game in New England, the Bills had 5 penalties, and I don't have the breakdown. 5 penalties for 45 yards. The Patriots had 3 for 30 yards. The game in Buffalo.
So bad.
Let me scroll down here. The Patriots had 2 penalties 6 penalties for 47 yards, and the Bills had 3 for 20 yards.
Men in the Kitchen says 7.
7 penalties. That is a lot. McDermott would not be happy with that. That's for sure. And I would not be either. But, you have to expect it. Again, you cannot screw up. You put this game even slightly in the hands of the refs, and we know they're going to take it away. We already know that. So you have to play your tightest game yet.
Listen, I want to see more McKenzie and Beasley in this game. I think that the Patriots do not have an answer for these guys. Cornerback number 3 and number 4, and their second cornerback is going to be he's on the COVID list, so I don't even know if he's going to be able to play. J.C. Jackson's a stud, right? But him and Diggs are going to battle it out, right? But I do like the game plan that the Bills came out with. The second game is a lot of Diggs. This is a playoff time, right? You need to establish Diggs early, and Josh Allen run the ball. Run the freaking ball. If it's negative 40 in Siberia on Saturday night, run the damn ball. Josh Allen run the ball, and I think they're going to. Now, one of the things I do like about it is when it comes times to the playoffs, you see something click with Josh Allen, the offense. You know what I'm saying? Where the urgency. We saw that in the Kansas City game earlier in the season. We saw that when the Bills played the Patriots in Week 13. I want to see that urgency. And one of the things I love that the Bills are now establishing, they are doing something about the screen game. I think now that you have Ryan Bates and a more athletic offensive guard, they are able to get up to the second level and make plays, in the screen game. So that's something that's going to be great. On the defensive side of the ball, I think you got to be looking out for the wham blocks. The Patriots, they're going to use the extra offensive lineman, Michael Olmanu, is a Michigan guy. They're going to be using him a lot, and they're going to be pulling a lot of guys. If it's going to be that cold, look for the Patriots. They want to establish the run. You have to be stout and with your run fits. So those are things that I want to look forward to watching, and I hope the Bills can find an answer for those this Saturday.
Yeah, in the last game, Week 16, the Patriots were showing light boxes 48% of the time.
Yeah, not bringing the pressure. That's what they do. Yeah,
they mixed it up. They tried everything to stop Josh Allen.
And they couldn't.
So these are kind of skewed, but I just don't know what they're going to show. Josh Allen, you could not stop him in that last game. So I know they will have their best effort for a game plan to slow him down, because they know if they slow Josh Allen down, they win the game.
But they're not going to. They can't. They physically cannot.
Right. Don't say that. Don't
impossible.
Say that.
They won't do it, man. Look, I said it going into the first game. The only thing that stopped us was the weather. The Patriots did not stop us. We beat ourselves, and the weather beat us. Everybody knows that from outside of Buffalo, from Boston, from wherever the hell you are. You know that the reason they won that game was the weather. Then we come to a game that there is no weather factor, and what happens? We whoop their butts. Why? Because, again, I've said it before the first game, before the second game, I'll say it now. Position for position, the Bills are the better team by far than this New England Patriots team. I don't care how good Bill Belichick coaches, he can't coach a team that doesn't have the talent to stop Josh Allen. Period, full stop, end of story. They will whoop this team's butt. This was the matchup I most desired in the playoffs. Not because we have a rivalry with the Patriots, but because the Patriots are the worst team to make the playoffs, other than the Steelers, who we knew were going to play the top seed anyway. So give me
not the Raiders.
Says full stop.
Are you kidding me? No, not the Raiders. No.
Anyway,
Raiders are better. The Raiders are going to win against.
You do realize this not only is this a divisional game, but this is the third contest. I'm not expecting the Bills to come in here and mop the floor with these guys. Now I do think there's going to be something said for Highmark Stadium is going to be electric because of the situation in the moment, and Mac Jones being Mac Jones played in big games, he won a national title, etc. But that's going to be a big time environment, and
right.
I think there's something special about Buffalo. Night game in a playoffs. I mean, I think that's great. Now, the caveat to that, Sugar High Josh, is he going to show up on Saturday night? That's what I'm worried about. That I'm worried about.
He'll be there. He'll be there. This is not going to be a 30+ point game, in my opinion. This is going to be a grinded out, like we've seen in the past, 14-10. Yeah, I'll put money on that.
You got it, brother. I'll take that bet all day.
I think the higher score will be below 25.
No, it's not happening. Because
I agree with that, Eric.
It's going to be -9, right? I mean, okay, someone said
look at the games where look at the games.
Swirls. It's a different speed. I think the Patriots defense is the strength of the team. So I think the Bills will have a game plan that's conservative.
Josh Allen's best game of the year was against New England. And why? Because he brought it. He brought it against, the next game against Atlanta and then against the Jets. But guess what? He knew, okay, these games I'm not ready for these games. I'm not at my best. Now it's playoffs, baby. Josh Allen is going to show up and dominate this Patriots team. Again, they are not that good, period. What is their best aspect of this team? What is the best aspect of the Patriots? What scares you about this team? Why won't our offense score on every single drive? Please tell me.
Anthony, do you hear yourself right now, dude?
The score of this game, my score prediction is 38-10 Buffalo. And that might be conservative.
God damn.
That might be conservative.
What are you going to have Jesus Christ out there throwing dimes? Like
he's already out there.
Little by little.
We have him already.
He's warming up.
The offense is going to be a clock control game. The Bills are going to do what we do. make drives, score points. It's not going to be all touchdowns. There's going to be field goals in there too. So it's going to be high scoring. The Bills are going to do what we do. We will dominate this team because we are the better team. I don't care how long Bill Belichick has coached, how good he is, what games he's been. He's not on the field. And
is Devin McCourty a good player?
Sure.
Is J.C. Jackson good?
Yeah, sure. But are they going to?
This Patriots defense is a good defense.
You're right. And our offense is a great offense, and they're not going to be able to handle it.
I think the thing that kills me about this game, though, I did not want to play the Patriots.
Come on.
The reason of that is if they lose. If you lose to the Chargers, if you lose to the Bengals, like these are up and coming teams. Okay. If you lose to New England, I'm going to be depressed for a year.
But looking at it from an outside perspective, the best matchup for this Buffalo Bills team is the New England Patriots. Period.
I don't think so.
I still think Cincinnati would be
No, what are you talking
the number one
about?
pass defense versus these young receivers and young quarterbacks.
We will beat Cincy too, but we are going to beat New England.
New England doesn't pass. Cincinnati would play right into our strengths. Our weakness is run defense.
McCorkle, Jones,
he's not going to play.
Joe Burrow.
The Patriots with McCorkle beat the Bills with 3 passes. He didn't even play, and they won.
Why did they? We already went over that. It was the weather. The Patriots didn't do shit.
No, the Bills didn't capitalize on their opportunity.
You're right. We beat ourselves and the weather. Great. We could beat ourselves in this game. Yeah, sure. What do you want to do? But the Patriots aren't good enough to capitalize if we beat ourselves. We'd have to do like 5 turnovers or something stupid like that. And I don't see that happening in a game that we are coming prepped for. Yeah, he's not going to punt much in this game. Maybe once at the end. And let me tell you, it does navigate why Sean McDermott has been more aggressive on 4th down.
You need to put some more respect on Bill Belichick's name in the playoffs.
No. This is 2022 now, folks. This team is not – there's no Tom Brady. Mike Vrabel ain't back there, all right? This is not the team you think it is. They suck, period. They have sucked all year, and everybody's blown smoke up their ass. Well, now we're going to expose them in the playoffs for the team that they are. You want to go blow Bill Belichick in the background? Fine. Do that, ESPN. Do that, ABC, CBS.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead and hype those Patriots all you want, but they suck, and that is the reality of the situation. Just look at the football. Don't look at the history. Don't look at all the stuff that doesn't matter.
Look at the football.
At the football.
Look at
what the play on the field. Look at the players who play on the field. Take the jerseys off their back. Take the logos off their helmet. This Buffalo Bills team, 1,000 out of 1,000 people would take them to beat this New England team. Damn. Without the logos on the helmet.
What's the spread?
The spread, which, by the way, we're getting to, is 4 currently, is -4, and going down, if anything. And 4 is nuts. I'll take that all day, which you'll hear me in my next segment here.
Nick Terry, don't take your eyes off the ball.
Yeah.
Look at the football.
Look at the football. I mean, the football, big picture, not literally the football.
Scouts are told not to watch the
ball on the field.
So, Anthony, 38-10. Is that what you're going?
38-10, and that's underestimating. I'm telling you.
Man,
over under 38.
That's my conservative score. Yeah, over under 38. Now I'm thinking about it, but 30, we're getting there.
Mafia, mount up, buddy. God dang.
Mount up! Let's go.
God. The Bills ain't losing the game. They ain't never losing with Anthony like that. God dang. Okay, so let's get some realistic predictions before we step. We still have to do 5 for 5. So you know what? Why don't we do that and then we'll do our predictions at the end. Let's go ahead and get it in because
all right, let it out, buddy.
You got to let it out. Just get it out. 5 for 5 with Anthony Romeo. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the 5 for 5 segment in the playoffs. Here we go. We had a great season. I hope you were betting with me because we finished above 60% on the season. What a hell of a year. Absolutely excited to be getting you that money. Hopefully you put in your bets. And we're going to continue that now into the playoffs. I'm going to give you my picks against the spread. for every week during the playoff run here. And I'm going to start with this week. It's a 5-for-5 segment, but there's only 6 games this week. So I'm going to give you all 6 in the order that I'm picking them, starting with my least favorite, which is the Dallas Cowboys. I'm picking them -3 versus the San Francisco 49ers. This matchup really hurt me because the San Francisco 49ers were my preseason Super Bowl pick against the Bills. But Dallas is coming in as obviously one of the hottest offenses in the league, putting up 50-plus points. I'm taking Dallas -3 in this game. My number 5 pick of the week is the Cardinals +4 at the Rams. Don't get me wrong. I think the Cardinals lose this game, but what we've seen between these two teams when they match up is it's always competitive. It's always tough. I picked the Rams to win, but by less than 4. So give me the Cardinals +4. My 4th bet of the week, again, similar situation. I'm taking the Eagles +8.5. I think that line is just a little too high for how Tampa has been playing as of late against a hungry team like the Eagles. Tampa Bay still pulls off the win in my mind, but the Eagles +8.5. My number 3 pick of the week is the Raiders +6 against the Bengals. I actually am picking the Raiders to win this game, so the Raiders getting points, that's an easy bet for me. My number 2 bet of the week, the Kansas City Chiefs -12 versus the Steelers. Let's be honest, this is the best offensive team versus the worst playoff team right now in the Steelers, who totally backed into the playoffs. But I will take Kansas City winning by multiple touchdowns. So Kansas City -12 versus the Steelers. And you already heard it, ladies and gentlemen. The Buffalo Bills -4 points versus the Patriots is my big bet of the week. I fully expect it to be plenty more than that. The Bills are going to win this matchup in my mind. I just don't see the Patriots being able to stick it close and make it within 4. So give me the Bills -4. So there's my bets of the week. I'll say it again. The Dallas -3 versus San Francisco. The Cardinals +4 at the Rams. The Eagles +8.5 versus Tampa Bay. The Raiders +6 versus the Bengals. Kansas City -12 versus the Steelers. And the Bills -4 versus the Patriots. Let's go. Let's keep up those winning ways into these playoffs.
Okay, so there you have it. You're 5 for 5 with Anthony.
Gotta hit this right here.
Dude.
Jason Taylor. Anthony would be a great manager for a WWE.
Let's go, brother.
Don King.
Champion's never gonna lose. All right.
Damn. Oh man,
that would have been like, that's like 8-year-old me's dream job, by the way. Like that would be like, that, and maybe coaching the Buffalo Bills when I was 8. Those were like my 2 dream jobs, right there.
Go with B.
All right, so
B.
Anthony gave his prediction. You're sticking with 38-10. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Eric, what's your prediction for the game?
I'm gonna go. I hate to do this, but 19-10.
What kind of game is that?
Gonna be a weird score in there. Safety, mixed extra point, something like that.
You should just went like 9-6. Like, what the hell? What's that? 19-10?
That's what I'm going with.
I'm gonna go 26-13. Bills. I think that's fair.
Doesn't have to be
better
pretty.
Than 19-10. Eric's going with the year he thinks of the Patriots when they, they were good back then, right? 1910. That's how long ago was that? So clearly they're going to clearly they're going to be competitive versus the Bills.
You sound like an un-American. You don't like Patriots?
Unbelievable.
Going back that far.
I hate the Patriots.
Oh man. Well, that's gonna do it for the show, man. Thank you guys for being, man. This is a big week. This is a big week.
Let's go.
Make sure though you stay in tune with the Hoof Podcast live on the Cover One Network. We have a little thing going on Friday night where a lot of our contributors on the network are going to be given a couple segments here and there. It's our pregame kickoff is going to be dope. Anthony and myself will be on it amongst your other favorite Cover One contributors. It's going to be sick. I know I'm not going to be able to sleep Friday night.
Yeah,
it's my son's birthday weekend this weekend, so I'm gonna need the Bills. Are gonna get this dub.
My birthday is Sunday the 16th. Yeah.
So listen, man. I'm gonna be up. I'm gonna be up, ready, rocking. Anthony and I are gonna be rocking the mic at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on Friday. So come here 9:30 p.m. Eastern if you guys want to hang out with us. We're gonna do a 20-minute segment. But it's going to be dope, man. So make sure you keep it locked and loaded on the Cover One Network and the Hoof Podcast Live. My name is Sterling. We got Anthony over here, Eric on the bottom, and we out of here. Go Bills.
Go Bills.